So let's act right now in the best possible way that you can to wow your customers, to know how you can sell, and then scale. That will put you so much more ahead when you're ready to train somebody to do that for you, when you hire somebody who's calling these people within 10 minutes. You'll know how to coach them, and you'll ultimately drive your business multiples further than what you would have.
Welcome to Solo to CEO. We're sitting here with Jake Fichman. Jake, tell me what you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I run an agency called Goldfish Marketing. We're a digital agency that really focuses on helping NGOs, B2B, B2C, service companies to really drive traffic, drive lead gen, drive success, and really drive profit.
Awesome, yeah. So how long have you been doing this for?
Well, I'd say my whole life. But
since age one?
Well, routes about really to my family that, I grew up in entrepreneurial family, close to small business, service businesses, both parents, grandparents, uncles. But the company I founded about 8 years ago.
Amazing. And you're from Kansas City, right?
Kansas City, yeah.
Did your career start over there, or are you?
That's where I went to school, background in finance and economics, and then had a small startup there, which in turn I sold, and then came to Israel, where Goldfish Marketing started here and is headquartered here currently. So. And
how'd you get the name Goldfish?
Well, it's we go through this a lot with clients, but I mean, a name is challenging, really challenging. But looking at our demographic, sorry, there's not a better story, but things come down to practical. But looking at our audience that's multilingual, we needed to come with something that was easy in multiple languages that you remember, that sticks, right? That's fun and young and poppy, but still, still approachable. But Fishman, Goldfish, we bring the gold. Fishman comes with it. So
I like it. Fish brings the gold. Fishing for gold.
Yeah.
That's cool. So tell me a little bit about your strategy and what you do.
Yeah. So anybody running a service business has a couple of pain points, right? Especially when we're talking about digital. At the end, they want more business. They want more profit. They want to grow their business, maintain their business, whatever it be. And digital, everybody knows that's listening, or it's living in our century here. Digital is a platform to drive new business, right? To gain new customers, new leads, et cetera. So the way that we really break down digital is looking at strategy, content, and the platform expertise. So we help our clients through each of those stages, through developing a holistic digital strategy that's going to lead their potential customer through a journey digitally, from a place of not aware that they exist or that they even have a problem, to a stage of ingesting, viewing, being exposed to content that's relevant to them, into a place that then we have to integrate and produce funnels to allow this user to then go through some nurturing process to become a customer.
Awesome. So what are some of the main things that you find to be the most important in that funnel that you just mentioned?
Yeah, good question. So, anybody that owns a service business has gone through the kind of fundamentals of opening accounts. Maybe they even have a CRM, or they have an email marketing system. They're maybe doing some Facebook ads, some Google ads. They've dabbled, right? Especially earlier companies, right? They try to do it themselves. And they eventually, some make it through and some do a great job, and they're fantastic. Others, they meet a challenge, or they want to scale. They really want to break into a new market, or they want to gain new clientele that they haven't been able to reach them or convince them that they're a right fit. There we really come in, and we call these pieces of content, or these places in the stages, catalysts, right? That drive a user, it moves the user into an action that then ultimately provides more business and more revenue for the client.
Amazing. So what are some of these catalysts?
So a catalyst can look for a service company. Maybe give me an example of a service company that...
Okay, let's say dental clinic.
Dental clinic, okay. So dental clinics are really in the business of solving problems, right? You could call it maintenance as well, but that's just prohibiting, that's just lessening future problems, but unless we're talking about aesthetics. But if we're looking at a dental clinic, what they want to do is they want to reach more people who have the problem that they have a solution for, and provide them with service, right? And so that process in the digital sphere looks like a user, right, potential client, becoming aware that they have a problem, right, searching for a solution, becoming aware of potential solutions. So your dental clinic is now on my radar, but now you need to move me, right? I see you and I see 5 other competitors that are all within my zip code. They all offer the same services. What moves me to choose your dental clinic before I choose your competitors? And really that, in a sense, is a catalyst. What is going to drive them and move them in your direction?
And what are some of the examples that you've used in order to actually move them in that direction?
So a few examples of catalysts, especially in the stage that we're talking about, where someone has a problem and they want to find a solution. Educational content, for example. If I have a specific problem and I really want to know what it is, if my molar hurts and I want to know if it's because there's food stuck in there or because I have a serious problem, I'm looking for educational content.
And where would that content sit? On the website?
Definitely on your website. That can be in the form of written copy, especially if we're looking for SEO. It can be in video form. Really something that's going to serve me as your potential client. It's really going to serve me in this process where I can't fix this myself, right, potentially. But you can help me understand and drive me to your website, which is essentially your online home, right? I mean, that's the space that you own. That you're inviting me in, you're convincing me that you're the right place for me, and then providing me with valuable educational content.
Awesome. So you would recommend really anyone in the service business to have an educational page on their website?
Yeah, educational content definitely is, if it fits your business. For example, a law firm, right, would qualify. Maybe is another example here of a service business. You're in the business of solving problems, right? You give advice, you guide, you essentially calm people's problems, right, with solutions, typically. And so to start with educating your client, it seems standard. If you're a plumber and you come into someone's home, right, you're going to walk in and they're going to say, hey, there's this problem. There's water spraying out of my wall. What's going on? Is it coming from there? Is it coming from there? What's going on? People want to be educated first, right? And so starting off with that, digitally educating people, your potential user is going to buy them into the next stages of this digital process.
By digitally educating them, you're showing them that you know what you're talking about, and you're very, very happy and eager to help them even before they paid you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're very subconsciously aware of tricks. We don't want to be tricked. We don't want to be shoved into a process of being captured, right? And so we're holding our data close to us. For example, our name, our email, our phone number, we're holding it very tight. And only once you've convinced me that you're worthy of my information, right, which is essentially a lead, right? Only once you're worthy of my information, then I'll offer it to you and ask you to help me further, right? Which that's really where the transaction starts, that process. So educating, absolutely, is a fantastic place to start.
So what are some examples of successful marketing techniques that you find for service businesses? Like, let's say, for example, in advertising, there's Google and Facebook. Those are the main ones. And then we're talking SEO, and like you said, the education, maybe content marketing, blogging. There's a whole lot of different ways you can go. What are some examples of marketing that you find is most effective for service businesses?
Yeah, great question. The website, at the end of the day, if that's where you're producing leads, your website's got to be tip top. You really have to have a good, powerful message. You need to stand out. You need to have a declarative statement about why you're the right choice, right? And then back that up all the way through the process. Your lead generation forms, or your process of generating leads, needs to be really, really on point. It needs to work good on mobile. It needs to be thought through. So if you're in a particular business where people are looking to write you on WhatsApp, that needs to be a clear, prominent option. Otherwise, if somebody's looking for a price proposal, like a price quote, if that's really where they are seeking, right? If on their journey they're aware of the problem, they're interested in a solution, they're looking for comparables, they're going to be looking for these price quotes, right? They're going to want to know how much you charge, compare you to your competitors. So your lead gen form needs to really speak to those points that your user's looking for. That's having your things in order, right? That's number one. You can put all your money on Google Ads, you can put all your money in Meta, and drive your user count, watch your web traffic just skyrocket, right? But if you're looking at a 0.2% conversion rate, you're dumping a whole lot of money, right, into these ads, and you're getting a very low conversion. What you need to do, first of all, is you need to really analyze, remember back to that first topic I mentioned, which is strategy, right? And really looking at your architecture. You need to be checking out what's going on inside your house, right? You need to see what's going on. I recommend, there's a couple of programs, one's called Hotjar. Hotjar is a very significant company now, but what they do essentially is very easy. They connect to your website and then they record your users, right? There's no privacy issues here, but they record your users and you can watch them where they move their mouse, where they click, where they pause, where they exit, how far they get through your forms, right? If they even get to your form. Really understanding where the user is actually traveling through your website is very important. Google Analytics is another place. Getting all this in order is very important. In terms of what you can do actively once you have a good base, is focusing on content, right? And so you mentioned already educational content, social media, Google Ads, Meta, absolutely 100%. I mean, I recommend to every service company that wants to drive new leads to prepare and understand what is the lifetime value of their customer, okay? And then work that back to how much are we ready to spend per click, okay? Which maybe we'll go into that another time, but what we really need to understand is how much value is a new customer going to bring you, right? So if you're bringing a customer who's on a subscription basis, or he's coming once every 6 months, once a year, if it's a dental clinic, right, they're coming back to you every 6 months, let's say, or if you're a lawyer or if you're a plumber or whatever it is, what is the lifetime value of a new customer for you?
If it's an injury lawyer, they might be coming once.
For sure. But they have a lifetime value, right? Even if they're with you one time, it could be that a captured client is worth on average $30,000, right? So are you going to pay for a $30,000 lifetime value of a client? Are you ready to pay $5,000? Yes, right? You're willing to put in theory, right? You're willing to pay $5,000 to make a $30,000 profit, right? And so these are big significant numbers, but as a plumber, right, if your lifetime value of a client, let's say he calls you typically once for 2 years and you never hear from him again, and you make $200 each time. So lifetime value of that customer is $400. Are you going to put $5,000 into a customer that's going to bring you $400? Clearly not, right? So first understanding that, we need to then work back to what are you ready to pay on Google in terms of bidding on clicks, Meta, what are you looking at a cost per click, and really have this lined out. Otherwise, you'll go out, you'll put some money down, you'll see some traffic, you'll see some spikes, maybe you'll pick up a lead or two, but then something fizzles. You get spooked. Something happens, it's silent, you don't get the leads you thought you were going to get, money starts going up, and you don't know where you're headed. And that's where I see a lot of service people pull the plug and just halt.
And this is when they're doing it on their own, or this is when they're working with a professional?
Yeah, this is when they're doing it. Either one. I'd say most are doing it on their own that are these small companies, right? Sole proprietorships. But more and more, yeah, we see service companies that hire on a freelancer or, an individual whose focus is really on the practical side of pulling levers in Google Ads and in Meta, and is probably really good. Let's say he's really good at what he does, but he really focuses on this back end to website landing situation and maybe even looking at a conversion. But in terms of breaking down, again, how can we raise these conversion rates by having better catalysts? Going back to content, video, testimonials, endorsements, this is really where we're going to see the money, the return on investment increase.
Right. How do you measure your ROI? Like, what KPIs do you use when it comes to lead gen?
Yeah, for KPIs for lead gen, definitely the cost for conversion, right? If we're talking about generating a lead or...
What's a conversion?
So a conversion will be any point where you've gotten your user to take an action. So for this situation, if we're using Google or Meta, what we're probably looking at is somebody's submitted a form, or somebody's called you, somebody sent you a message on WhatsApp or in Messenger. They've actively shown you that they're interested in your service and are looking for a price quote from you or more information. So that's where we call that conversion point would be right there. They turn into a lead for you, a hot lead, right? So that's ultimately, right, for any digital marketer, that's, let's say, the furthest that he can go without really getting into your business, right? Which we love to do, right? We want to know, how are you following up on this lead? For example, phone calls are very underrated today. The human side of following up with a lead, right? A phone call. I recommend that if you get a new lead, you call them in 10 minutes. Have a 10-minute rule. Within 10 minutes, you get on the phone with that lead. If it goes past 6 hours, you're already chilling. I mean, that lead is really getting cold on you, and you're falling into a pot of a whole list of other options for them. A day that's gone by and you're kind of wasting your time.
You won't get through to them after.
Right. So first of all, showing that first point of relationship. I mean, service, it's so much about the human side, so much about relationship, trust, right? And if they're not able to go to their friend and say, hey, who do you know who's a great plumber? Hey, who do you know who's a great lawyer? And they go, I don't know, check Google. Now you're in this cold place and you just want a trusted person to help you through your problem or bring you service or come into your home or work on your your business for you, right? We're in the service business as well. So, what they're looking for is show me a human side. Show me something I can trust, right?
It's also it's at the point where their pain point is so strong that it's causing them to actually take action. You want to catch them when they're in that vulnerable place and be their superhero and help them out.
Oh, absolutely. No, spot on. I mean, you want to be there for them and you want to be their guy. And so if they're wrapped up in something where their pulse is up, their blood pressure's up, and they're like, okay, nobody knows where I can find, a good dentist, plumber, lawyer, landscaper, marketer. Well, let's go on the search, right? And so what you're looking for is you're looking to ease that pain for them, right? And that's really the success of your business. The better you can solve their problem, the faster, the easier, and the cheaper you can solve their problem, the more they're likely to come to you, recommend you, and give you repeat business.
Yeah. Also, when they're calling you, I feel like in most cases, like if you're calling a plumber because you have a leak, you're calling a personal injury lawyer because you had an accident or whatever it is, a dentist, you feel like it's an emergency. Yeah. It's like in the moment emotionally, like this is urgent. I need to speak to someone now. Yeah. Like the phone trees. Like if you call up and thank you for calling Citron Films. For Yago, press 1, and it's just like, why? Why do I need to? You just want to get straight through to a person, and if someone doesn't answer, call back within 3 minutes.
Yeah, you're talking about things that, let's say, maybe somebody watching this goes, well, that's not scalable. Yaakov, I watched your video on scalability, for example, and you talked about I got to do things that are scalable, right? Well, I can't get on the phone with everybody, right? I can't do that. What if I have 1,000 customers? Well, you don't. You have 50, right? So let's act right now in the best possible way that you can to wow your customers, to feel your customers, to know what's going on in the world, to know how you can sell, right? And then scale, right? And then worry about that, right? So it's okay to do things right now that maybe you say aren't scalable, but that will put you so much more ahead when you're ready to train somebody to do that for you, when you hire somebody who's calling these people within 10 minutes. You'll know how to coach them. You'll know how to hold them accountable. You'll ultimately drive your business, multiples further than what you would have if you take this generic, digital approach of, okay, we'll get back to you. Like you said, we'll get back to you within 24 hours. It's like, well, you lost me, right? By the time you get back to me, I already have an option. I had this. I was flying back from Chicago, and during the time I was on a plane, somebody sent us a message. They got my number directly. They sent me a message that said, hey, we're looking for services in digital marketing. Heard you guys are fantastic. Got a recommendation. Even mentioned who it was from. By the time I got back, got an order, got back to the office, I thought, okay, I'll give them a call back, I'll give them a call back now. So I called them. They said, oh, no, we found somebody else. I said, my goodness, you found somebody already, right? And I'm in a little bit more of a complex business than my pipe burst, my basement's filling up and flooding. You got to find somebody right now. For us, okay, it can take a little bit of time. You can kind of, let's have a meeting, let's get to know each other. But I mean, that is the pace the world's moving at. And for these service companies, you got to be quick. So setting up, again, going back to how your lead generation forms, meaning how are you capturing their information? How are they reaching out to you? Those processes have to be done in a way that information comes to you or your team immediately.
But also, if they're calling you and you're not available, it doesn't have to be you answering the phone.
Correct.
It's ideal. I think the face of every company should be the one answering until it's too big for that to happen. But it doesn't have to be you answering. It can, after 3 rings, it can forward to other phones of people in your company, and they could take the call.
Absolutely.
They could respond to the most basic things and then arrange a time to meet with you at a time that you're available. I also saw something amazing. It said that if it ever comes to a point where they need to get to an answering machine, right? Like they were saying that like if they don't get through to you or people on your team, there are call centers that will take the call for a few dollars a call. Mm-hmm. That's already better than nothing. But if it ever gets to the point where it needs to go to an answering machine, the message should go something like this: hi, thanks for calling Citron Films. Please leave me your name, or whatever I know is very important. Please leave me your name and number. I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. The chances of them leaving their number are 80% higher than, I made up the number, than if you didn't say that.
There you go. So you just talked about right now, you talked about that lead generation system, right? Exactly like you're saying. So tailoring that in a way that user goes, yeah, okay, you just moved me. Or I was in motion. I was ready to call. I was ready to give you my information. I didn't get to you, right? And so now you're talking about a new catalyst. You're talking about how do I keep them in motion? How do I allow them to finish this process without getting them into this dead end? That's spot on what we're talking about here.
Awesome. When a service business comes to your agency, what's the first thing you do?
An audit. we take them through a process of mapping out and defining who their user is. So we start with persona building. It sounds complicated, but it's a 30-minute meeting, right? We ask a lot of questions. We understand who their target customer is. We help them discover that if they need help discovering that, if they're missing maybe some blind spots. And then we map out this journey of their user digitally, because we're really focused on digital here. So what that looks like is we walk the client through a process of understanding their client from the point of being unaware that they have a problem or there's an opportunity down road to the place of converting into a client, as we call it, right? Becoming a paying customer. And so that's the very first thing we do is we audit their platforms. We put together a very easy to understand, presentable PDF overview for them, showing their assets, showing what catalysts they have at work, right? Kind of mentioned how if in terms of they really need to have educational content, right? But they don't, we'll showcase that. And then we help them understand what kind of options they have for the best catalyst that can be created. And that really sets off this kind of, again, understanding common language between us and a client as partners in this, that they can start to make decisions for their business that we help them through.
What platforms for advertising do you feel you like to use the most for lead gen?
So it definitely comes down to the company, what they're offering, where their audience is. But, Google's powerful. Meta's powerful. There's no question. Marketplaces are powerful, right, if we're talking about products. But if we're really looking at the service industry, it's one of two, in my opinion. It's either me as the user, I'm looking for a solution, right? I'm aware I have a problem. I'm looking for a solution. Where's the first place you go if you need to find an answer to a problem? Google, great.
Or YouTube.
Great. So we're looking at Google products. If a person's not aware, but we want to capture them as a client because we think we know what they need, right? We have maybe an aesthetics type of business or some improvement type of business. Then we're looking to inspire them. And the platforms, naturally, where people are inspired and encouraged are social media platforms. Also forums, of course. But I would really recommend, if we're talking about ad spend, we're looking at return on ad spend, then we're going to be looking at problem solution or opportunity, right, for improvement. So Google, 100%, if we're looking for solution. YouTube as well as a Google product. And then Meta is, in my opinion, in terms of price per conversion, performing extremely well. I think it's just mapping out, are you providing a solution or are you providing inspiration and opportunity? And depending on those two, I'd start to kind of pie chart out your budget. And maybe, let's say, if you're doing improvements or opportunities, right, as a business, which could be like home renovation or aesthetics, right, like you mentioned, then let's head over to Meta. Let's head over to Facebook, Instagram, maybe 75% budget, and then let's bring about 25% over to Google. And we may find that we need to alter that entirely, right, over the course of a couple months. But we typically do a run first on Google. We see what kind of forecast, what kind of history, what kind of cost per click are we looking at, per keywords. And so first of all, we do research, we see what's going on. But as a general statement, definitely Google and Meta products.
So Facebook reports that using video in your ads gives you a 3x improvement or a 2x improvement on your return on ad spend. Is that something you've seen play out personally?
Yeah, video is prioritized definitely across Meta products. The competition with TikTok has pushed Instagram into almost nearly all motion visuals, right? So reels, motion stories, video, anything that's having to do with testimonials, endorsements. We're looking for influencer content, user generated content. We always recommend video, 100%.
But what about with lead gen?
For sure. So, these endorsements, these influencer posts, these user generated content pieces are unto lead gen, I would say, right? So we're producing content, investing in content in order to drive more users to a location where they're then captured in terms of their information, right? Generating a lead out of that. I think for service, testimonials are fantastic. A promo video is fantastic. If I come into your space, let's say I'm searching for a solution, or I've just seen that you can renovate my house, right? This before and after situation, or right, you can win a case for me, right, in the place of law. I'm going to come into your space, right? I'm going to come into your digital home, your website, and here again, I'm holding my details, right, close to me, my name, my email, and my phone. I have a problem, you have a solution, we're a fit, but I'm not sure yet, right? So video is very strong in driving trust, right? Developing trust in that you are a relative solution for my problem. So that looks like I land on a landing page where you've positioned a video that you talk through this problem, right? You present some user cases, right? Some case that, here we are, this was the situation, now here's the solution, right? And again, in the form of either educational content or endorsements or testimonials, the most powerful.
Okay. What are some examples of and ways to get user-generated content for lead generation? Like, for example, a service where you have to physically be there to benefit from the service. You can't just send it out to influencers, like a law firm or like a health clinic or like a construction company.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the way I'm going to build a house for you in Kansas so that you can, post up your video on TikTok for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, it comes down to the relational side of things. So if you've walked your client through this process of showing them that you're relational, when the time comes for them to offer something back to you, right, some user-generated content, which to define that would be, let's say somebody filming themselves saying, here I am at the, Yakov's medical clinic here. These guys are the best. I mean, the service, the care is just unbelievable. I really recommend anybody that's looking for X, you guys should come here. Right?
But that would either be someone who's not an influencer or someone who
Correct.
hasn't actually benefited from your service.
Well, that one would be a user. So that would be somebody digitally that experienced your service. I mean, that's the best way to go about it, is to approach somebody who's experienced what you have to offer, right? Otherwise, we're looking at essentially paying somebody, essentially an actor, right? If they've never experienced your service and they don't have any relationship with you, but they're producing content. If you just build me a house, if you're in construction, you just build me a home, right? Or if you're a real estate agent, right, and you found me a home, I'm very emotional. I'm very excited. And at that point, right there, if you've walked me through this process, right, if you've been relational with me, I trust you, I'm ready now. If you ask me, let's say a certain percent of the time on average, if you ask me, hey, can we just do a real quick video? Like, would you mind saying, how this was for you? Would you recommend us? It takes a little bit of practice. The first couple of times you feel kind of awkward. You feel like it's not really right, but you got to get over that. And you'll see people are very warm. They're very excited. They want to endorse you. They want to give back to you at that moment where emotionally they're feeling great about what you've just provided them with because you did a great job, right? And at that moment you can say, hey, would you mind if...
Ask you a few questions about the service you received.
Exactly. If this is a real significant part of your business, there's other ways to do it. And that's, if you have repeat clients or clients that you know real well, and you're able to call them and say, hey, we're actually doing a customer appreciation week going on here, and we want to call a couple of our best clients in, just explain how the service was or what's going on. Or we'll show up to your place, we'll set this up. Again, different businesses, it works a different way, but if you can invite them into your space, have a professional company come in, if you don't feel, like a cell phone is enough for them to film themselves saying how great they are, which if you do have people filming, then have them film portrait, right? That is perfect for Reels and Facebook in terms of format. But if you're looking for a professional company to come in, because these are really pieces you want to put on your website as endorsements, again, trust building, then I would hire a professional company, right? Have them come in, set up, show some customer appreciation, invite in some of your biggest wins, customers that are just ecstatic about what you did for them. Let's say you ask 10 and 6 of them come. What a win, right? People saying great things about your company.
There's sort of like a controversy, I don't know if that's the right word, but between professional video and authentic cell phone video. When it comes to testimonial videos, who do you think wins the battle? The authentic cell phone style videos or the professionally produced? Right, you understand the pros and cons of each of them is when it's professional, then you're presenting yourself as a professional, high quality, high ticket company who is going to be, everything we do is professional. Whereas when it's cell phone and what people call authentic, then it just seems more like candid and in the moment.
I think that depending on your services, right? So if you're a lawyer, you're looking to present something that represents professionalism and who your client base is, right? Because when I look at content, I go, do I relate with him? If I do, then maybe this is the right choice for me. It's the right choice for him. Maybe it's the right choice for me. If your services are very professional, then I recommend your content be professional. If your service is maybe a little bit more, let's say even blue collar, we go back to construction, we go back to industries where people are really looking for problem solution type of situation, then I think that authentic lends a big plus, right? You're looking for something that doesn't feel packaged. You're looking for something that doesn't feel produced. It can help with that trust factor. You say, okay, I'm going to bring a plumber in. And you go on and you see some content, right? And you see on his Facebook page, you see, I was so happy to help Miss Lou, to solve, this big problem. We did this, this, and this. And here's what she had to say. And it's this, cinematic, it was a wonderful experience. What are you doing, right? It doesn't make any sense. If it's a woman who she's in her home and she's filming, she says, she's got her arm around the plumber, I appreciate so much, what just happened. This is what was going on. It was great. But it's a little bit shaky and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's authentic and it does the job. I think it really comes down to how you want your users to relate, if they need to relate to something authentic or something that feels very shirt and tie type of professional.
What if you had a plumber who wanted to present themselves as, we're high ticket, we're high profile, we're high whatever it is. They want to look expensive, right? They want to look like we do it right and give off that vibe. Do you still feel like there is an advantage to doing the authentic cell phone style video?
I think that if your company is looking to sell value, meaning they're looking to charge a higher hourly rate or, whatever it be, contract rate, because you think you bring more value, right? And that value could be that you're more reliable or you have more experience or your team has less turnover rate than your competitors, so you're giving better service, or your location, whatever it is, right? If you're looking to sell something that you can't really, it's not tangible, okay? You're looking to put a higher ticket price on it, then your content needs to help justify that. Because as the person comes in and they're looking to find somebody to provide a service, and they have this option over here that's $1,000, and they have this option over here that's $2,500. And to make that jump, it's already painful to pay $1,000, let's say, for a service, whatever it be. To pay $2,500, you really got to show me why, this is worth it. And an example would be, let's say, flooring, right? If somebody comes up to you, say you could get, new flooring for $1,000. Okay. Or this guy's going to charge you $2,500. Well, if it's an apple to apple, you're going to go with $1,000, right? But if he tells you, wait, this flooring, it's $2,500, will last you 35 years. Theirs over there will last you 3. Well, hold on, let me do the math, right? Well, that's worth it. Now, that's a little bit of a tangible example, right? But that's the point. You need to justify it. And for video is a great place to do that. It's a little bit more tricky to work that into written content. You can, but you have to take a personal journey, right? You have to be educating them while expressing this point of value. With video, you're able to illustrate to them, you're able to show them what the solution is, you're able to show a case study, you're able to say somebody, hey, here we are, it's been 20 years since I put in this flooring, look how great it is, I just want to say thank you again to, video is very powerful for that. And so I think in terms of having higher quality production, I think it's worthwhile. I do.
What are some challenges that you encounter when you're helping a service business with their marketing, branding, and their overall presence?
So a lot of clients don't know answers to the questions about who is your demographic, where is your user in the digital experience when you want to meet them in that journey, and that's fine. We help them through that. We find those answers with them and for them. I think the place that I see a lot of clients having a harder time is when that lead is captured, right? When a lead is generated. Up to that point, they put in a little bit of work at the beginning with some discovery and some content interaction, things like that. But to that point, we're pushing that forward, or their system, their flywheel is just bringing these leads. So really, that's the point they need to focus on. I mean, that's where a business owner or staff needs to really be focused from the marketing communication side of things, to have a really good lead nurturing, right, and closing process. So leads come in, like we talked about, 10 minutes, call them within 10 minutes. I don't assume that most people listening to this, on average, call their new leads within 10 minutes. I would doubt that, right? So there you go. So there's one tip right out the gate. Call your leads in 10 minutes. Beyond that, what do you do then with a lead that, well, they weren't quite sure, they weren't ready, they're going to think about it, they're going to get back to you. Now you're in the in the nurturing process. You need to nurture them along. You need to help them through this process of bringing them from being a generated lead into actually being ready to sign, a contract, for example. So for any service business owner, I think it's really about mastering and systemizing this process. Lead comes in, call them within 10 minutes, work them through a process, get them to a point where they're ready to say yes, or end that call with a follow-up. Hey, can I give you a call back? I know you want to look at a couple of options. I would do the same thing. I really think we're the top choice. I'm a little bit biased, but here's why, right? Would it be okay if I give you a call back tomorrow around the same time to see kind of where you're at? Then you got to work that into a CRM. You got to follow up. So really that's where you're going to see the rubber hit the road with business growth paired together with quality digital lead generation.
Do you ever use content marketing strategies with businesses?
Yeah, we work through content plans with all of our clients. We manage a lot. I would say the majority of my business is content creation. One side is setting up systems, branding, design, web development, integrations, and then the other side is content creation, right? As each one we could talk about, right, is a catalyst. Each piece of content needs to move that user, if he's qualified, or if it's a qualified user, needs to move him into that next stage, right? So content-wise, we always start with a discovery meeting. I'm actually just coming from a discovery meeting with the team. We'll sit with the owner, with the manager of, marketing manager, whoever's in charge there, do a discovery with them, help them understand what kind of categories of content that they have. So that's a recommendation for anybody, is to sit down, put together a list of 8 to 15 categories of content. It's going to be hard, but 8 to 15 categories of content that you can fill in. It doesn't mean you have to fill it in every day or every month or even every quarter, but content that you're able to actually produce on a, let's say, quarterly basis, right? There's something coming up. Case stories are fantastic. Holidays are a real easy one. Activities, team focus, problem solution, before and after, whatever fits your business. Put together all these categories, and then from there we start to develop out. Usually a month to 2 months, we create content calendars that we go over with the client, explain to them kind of, here's what we want to do, here's the strategy.
What about educational content? Did you mention that?
I didn't yet. No, and that's perfect. So definitely, if you're fitting into, one of these, again, people are searching for a solution. They're searching to understand why is my molar hurting me, right? Back to the dentist. I'm looking for educational content. So for sure, if you're looking for a high volume of clientele who have a problem, you need to get somebody on a regular schedule of, if you're creating at least one to 10 pieces of content per month that focus on your niche and your approach to that problem solution, right? And that can be everything from a clear, defining article. We work with a pharmaceutical packaging company, and their top article, their top SEO content to date, explains the process of oxygen and moisture permeating a bottle, right? Which, right? It's just boring, right? It's so boring and it's so dry, right? But this speaks to chemists. It speaks to people who are coming and looking for an understanding and education on packaging for pharmaceuticals that are highly sensitive, right? And so to this date, it's been 2 years since that piece has been up. Organically, it is their top driver. And so for a company, you don't know when you're going to produce the piece of content that's going to just, on YouTube, written content, SEO article, that's going to just drive traffic for you and just spin your flywheel and bring you new leads. You don't know when you're going to hit that piece, right? So 1 to 10 pieces of content a month, sweet spot, 1 time a week, a piece of content's being written from 400 to 800 words. You have headline, you have subheaders, you're going heavy on keywords, right, that are relevant for your search terms, and bringing in testimonials, success stories, case studies, what happened before, after, and this will change your world.
What about video content creation?
So video content creation, we approach just like written, right? You need to have a schedule for it. You need to know when's the right time. You need to know what kind of topics are interesting. We do a lot of testing, right? Which any marketer does. What we try to do is as little testing as possible, and we do that by putting together pieces of content that we know are going to work. They're proven, right? And so video really lends itself, again, in the area of if you can get an endorsement or testimonial from a trusted source, or somebody, again, who is relevant. If my target audience is people between the ages of 45 to 65, mostly women within these zip codes. They're looking for this sort of solution. Boom. Okay, I need to be filming or requesting content, user-generated content from people who fit that demographic, right? Because that essentially is going to speak to my audience who's going to come in, see this content, go, if it worked for them, it works for me. They were in the same problem. They even talk like me. They look like me, more or less, like in terms of where I'm at in my life. They have this problem, and they're really happy with the solution. So great, like, I'll give it a shot, and boom, there you got a lead, and you start this relationship, and you call them within 10 minutes.
I see a lot of people, a lot of service businesses are like, pushing it on social media, and they're, giving out free advice. How would you say a service business should be leveraging social media? Like, I'll see people, they're giving advice. Let's say it's a real estate attorney giving advice, and the real estate and the rates and the everything that's going on in the market. If it's an eye doctor, an optometrist, talking about myopia and all the different things that you need to know, and when to get a checkup, and how to know if this is that and the other thing.
Do you have bad eyesight?
I do. I have myopia.
You feel that that's a pain point, right? I mean,
now I have 20/20. I got the laser surgery.
Okay, so before that though, you were probably a little bit nervous about that surgery, right?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. What eased your fears enough to actually go through with it?
I was recommended by 2 family members that are doctors.
Yeah.
One of them is an ophthalmologist, and they both said that the risks of using contact lenses are minimal, but actually greater than the risks associated with laser eye surgery. This might be a controversial point. If you're a doctor watching this, you might want to argue with this, but this is what I heard, and they recommended this doctor locally who does it, and everyone else I spoke with recommended them. So I was like, okay, these are the people to go with.
Good. And it was probably pretty expensive.
Relatively,
yeah. Okay. More than a box of contact lenses.
Well, yeah. Well, insurance covered most of it.
Okay. So let's pretend it didn't. All right.
If it didn't, it would have been expensive.
Let's pretend it didn't cover it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened? You had a problem. You sought someone to teach you about potential solutions, right? So you pursued your family members in this case. You were lucky, right? You had family members who are experts in this field. Most of us don't. I don't, right? So where would I turn to? I would turn to Google, right? I would turn to YouTube videos. I'd look for tutorials, right? Or information rather. But you turned to your family. Your family gave you a recommendation. They said, hey, listen, here's what's going on. Let me explain to you what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what you go, okay, great. Now I understand. What should I do? Well, my recommendation to you, Yakov, is 1, 2, 3. You go, okay, who does that? Well, I have the guy for you, right? I know this guy. I went to school with him. I know this guy, right? Here's his number. Here's his office, right? I can get you in. You usually have to wait a year. I bet I can get you in 6 weeks. But it costs a lot. Ooh, pain, right? Well, hold on. But the pain that you're going to go through financially, right, is a little bit eased by the fact that you never have to put contact lenses in again. He relieved the pain point of like, oh man, well, I'm going to go into this operation. But, well, honestly, you're decently high risk in this situation. Oh, okay, right? You've going through this process, right, of first discovering, being educated, then having an endorsement, then having a recommendation, then having an exclusive offer of the 6 weeks versus a year, right? You're ready to go, right? You dial that number, you say, hey, can you get me in there? And you're a customer. He didn't have to make any effort to get you as a customer, right? So that's fantastic. If you can work a situation where you're getting affiliate recommendations from outside sources, right? Clearly the doctor that did your surgery was not in direct competition with your family members.
They're in different areas.
There you go, right? So they're not in competition. So boom, perfect network to be part of, right? Now you have this offline, free recommendation that's coming in from an affiliated source, which, digital is fantastic, but that's the best, right? I mean, that's the best you can get. So really work in that in terms of finding a network that you can be part of, again, that's going to grow your offline and your relational opportunities for lead generation, even if that means you're giving commissions for new leads to individuals, things like that. Different topic, but it shouldn't be ignored. But for educational content, back to your point, you went through this process yourself, right? And so you had a pain point, you found educational content, you came to understand what your problem was. That's where it all started, right? You would never even gotten to this doctor if you hadn't first heard from your family member, or if I hadn't found a website that offered me educational content, first of all.
How would someone go about putting themselves out on social media and really growing their social media presence through educational content?
So there's a few different ways. Again, video is powerful, 100%. If you can get yourself set up where you have a filming schedule, you know, you have a situation in your office and you get into a system where there's filming happening in your company, that's fantastic. Written content is easier to control. So writing content about that problem, about that solution, it's going to rank you on search. And then posting actively to social media, driving people into a newsletter. If you really get onto a wave of creating content that's educating, a newsletter is fantastic, right? If you're driving people into a space where you can get them onto a newsletter, you've just captured an audience in a very, let's say, intimate way, right? Now you have a much more likelihood to convert this audience when you have a deal or you have an opportunity or they have a problem. Now you're in a much more like sacred place in terms of in their inbox, right? That they own that space. Yeah, those are some of the ways. Yeah.
What kind of tools do you use for, to track marketing performance?
Yeah, great question. There's so many out there. It depends. I mean, if you're working, of course, in the area of targeted, like promoted advertising, paid advertising performance, then of course Meta and Google provide very, very good back ends where you're able to track KPIs, key performance indicators. You're able to see user counts, click-through counts, conversion rates, click-through rates, everything of that sort. And then, of course, if you're doing anything over on YouTube or Google or any of their networks, then, of course, working on platform in the back end is going to be the best way to do it. I would say on platform is really where we do a lot of tracking. Google Analytics is fantastic. We're looking at events or conversions, meaning people came to your website. What do they do? How many of them converted, right? Looking at that. We talked about, again, getting your house in order, getting your things in order, optimizing your processes on your website, your lead gen form, your WhatsApp button, however you're getting people to get in touch with you. And then tracking those conversion rates in Google Analytics is a fantastic place to do this. I mentioned Hotjar. That's a great starter piece to, again, see how people are working on your site. Those are, I would say, for lead gen, these are like the basics.
So Facebook just made a fundamental change to their events tracking. How do you stay up to date on the trends, the marketing trends, and especially now with AI just taking over the world, and you could spend 3 months working on something that the guy at the desk next to you did in 3 seconds because he had the prompt and he just put it in there. So how do you stay up to date on marketing trends?
So we continue to focus on the human side, right? We continue to watch that user as he's walking through a digital journey. And if we can produce content using AI, then that's great, right? But that needs to be tracked. That needs to be controlled. And we really need to again focus on what kind of conversion rate are we seeing, what kind of closing rate are we seeing, and keeping an eye really on the catalyst. Like we said, the quality of the catalysts.
So the AI is actually a separate question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
My question was more focused on what's changing. Like Facebook is constantly changing, the way their ads are being set up, and Google's changing their algorithm, every time the clock changes an hour. So how do you stay up to date on all that?
Yeah, good question.
Because you could spend $100,000 of a company's ad spend in the wrong place if you didn't see the algorithm change or whatever it is.
Yeah. Facebook, definitely, the social media platforms are changing the fastest in terms of what you could do and what now you can't do, right? And that's because they're exposed to a lot of government intervention. I think around 5 years ago when Congress pulled Zuckerberg in and really grilled him on social and political issues, we saw a dramatic shift from that point forward. And so that comes down where I see the main differences are in the targeting abilities. We have to be more creative now. They took out anything that's discriminatory, right? You can't even look up particular holidays anymore because that would be associated with someone's faith. Definitely you're looking for the maximum amount of narrowing that you can do, meaning I don't want to target as a service company 20 million people. That's not going to do anything for me. Right? I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for targeting 50,000 solid people who fit my demographical layout in my targeting, right? They're set up. I have them in specific zip codes or radius geofence, meaning you're from my office, they're 30 miles within a radius, right? They have these sort of behaviors. They have these kinds of interests. They also connect with my values as a company, right? If we can connect with our customers' values and not just their problem, then we're gonna have much more value with them, right? They're gonna choose us over another client or another provider because they say, wow, we have something in common. They share my values. So for targeting, we have less control of that at this point. I would say over on Google, it's much more as it was still. I think algorithmically, as you're saying, they're changing their algorithms regularly. We don't try to pretend to track and know exactly what algorithms Google's using. Anybody that tells you that is trying to trick you. We look at the results. Let's track the results. Let's see what kind of impressions, what kind of search terms were coming in, what kind of click-through rates we're getting, cost per clicks. Again, all of this is about, in the end, making money, right? I mean, that's why a service company is going to invest. They want to put in X and get X to the second power, right? Right? That's their dream. And so really looking at what indicators do we see moving, right? And I've mentioned quite a few of them. Which ones are moving and where are they moving to? And are they going in the direction that our client, right, the company, is going to get new leads, is going to grow his business, is going to be more profitable.
How do you feel AI has impacted marketing in both the positive and negative sense?
I think it's got everybody really excited, you know. I think it's a trending topic that eventually, you know, regulation is going to catch up. You know, we have some schools that are clients, you know, and I asked one of them, I said, you know, the director, I said, you guys struggle with, you know, students, you know, developing their work on AI, and they say, oh yeah, but we can tell, you know, we can tell if a student who's, you know, a C-level comes in with something talking about Socrates and this happened and that, you know. But I think that for the general user, regulation is going to come eventually, and it'll be from top down. It'll be government, which is like what we talked about now with Meta. But I think in my industry, specifically in marketing, communications, there's a lot of opportunities for easier content creation. We use it. We use AI as a Kickstarter for various projects and different things. If we feel like, if a creative on my team feels like they're just stuck or they've said the same message twice and they're not going to say it 3 times, and then they'll jump over to the platform and then they'll produce some new directions that kind of brainstorms with them. It's kind of gives collaboration. Now we see written content coming out. We see even visual generation happening. I think that the industry eventually is going to turn inversely and head back towards human, meaning that people are going to kind of, you talked about like authentic videos and things that are authentic. People want authenticity. They want to trust. And I think that the general user is going to start to kind of recognize some of that, maybe. But I think, to my point, I think that people are going to search for more of this human side. They're going to look for, okay, you know, I put in a lead and I didn't get an AI automated message, right, in my email inbox. I got a phone call from the owner of the company. I got a phone call from VP of sales. I got a human touch. He mentioned what we talked about in our last conversation.
Because in services, it's all about the human touch.
You got a customer coming in the door, show them your face as fast as you can. Like you said, let them hear your voice as fast as you can. Show them you hear them. Show them you recognize what they're going through. Show them the emotional side of things. Hey, I understand that it's really bothering you. You know, we want to get that solved for you. Wow, thank you so much. Like, you recognize my emotional state, right? You connected with that, and you're going to solve my problem. Like, show me an AI, you know, system that's able to do that and then back that up at this point, right? You can't, right? At some point, the human side falls apart currently, right? So that's what I would tell any service company. Don't fear. Use AI where you can. Have it collaborate with you. Have it come up with ideas for you. Jumpstart things. But niche your team. Push them into human interaction, connecting with emotion, and then helping a customer through a process. You've connected with people and solved their problems and shown them they can trust you enough that they're willing to give you their money and recommend other people to come to you.
So in terms of jumpstarting creativity, which you mentioned, I think that is probably one of the best use cases of AI. I actually, today, shortly before recording this episode, I went on ChatGPT and I asked it, give me 20 questions, 20 interview questions to ask a marketing expert to elicit responses that will be valuable to service businesses. then ask for 20 more questions that are, focused on video.
Mm-hmm.
And here I got like 40, things to jumpstart content. So this is actually advice I would give to anyone in the service business who wants to be creating content and they find themselves staring in front of the camera or their iPhone. I just don't know. They don't know what to say. They have a lot of value to share, but they just don't know where to start. You go into ChatGPT, right? Give me 20 interview questions for, expert, whatever field you're in, to elicit responses that will benefit X audience. Boom. You put that in front of you and just answer questions one by one. We're in a generation where it's just so easy to come up with ideas for content, and it's just so beneficial to put out value-based content, educational content, just to show people you're there to help them out.
Let it be your collaborator, let it be your, like you said, your jump starter. And definitely, at Goldfish Marketing, like in my company, that's where we fit in, right? It's that space where there's that pain point for our customers where they go, oh my goodness, like we don't know what to talk about anymore. We don't know how to present ourselves. We don't know if our systems are working, right? And AI can only do so much for you. Also with video creation, I assume that you guys, I don't think that AI can do your job at this point, other than giving you some recommendations of questions or, do you guys use AI for anything else?
We use it to help jumpstart creativity.
Yeah.
So one of our tracks, we do promo videos. Yeah. So our signature offer, we don't really use AI pretty much. Everything is human touch. But in one of our lower budget tracks, we have like this done with you kind of service where we use AI. We've learned how to, give it better prompts and how to learn our writing style. And then we'll use AI to create a script, then send it to them, and then work together to fine tune it. So that's one way we use AI. We use it for, like I just mentioned, I use it to get ideas, to ask you questions for this podcast, to give, value to the audience that's listening.
Well, I'm sure though your customers, I'm sure they appreciate the human interaction though. They just can't produce that touch. When somebody gets on a call with you, right, and they say, oh, I got your script, it's great. Okay, bing, AI won, right? In that situation, they're the hero because they came up with the questions, let's say. Boom, let's move forward though. Now it's all human touch. Now it's emotion, right? Oh, I was thinking about, I'm a little bit nervous about X. Oh, okay, you're feeling emotionally nervous about something. Well, let's talk through that. Well, I was a little bit afraid with kind of how I set it up if it's too dark. Okay, you're feeling afraid. Well, let's talk through that. Then it moves into that, again, that service side of thing, that human side of thing. And that's really where I don't see how AI can correct that, unless there comes to that point that there's just so much proven trust in it that people go, yeah, I'll fully lean on it 100% of the way. When you're talking about service, right? We're talking about a service company at this point.
Well, we don't know. So much has changed in the last year.
Yeah.
So like, for all you know, in a year from now, all human existence will just be obsolete. Let me answer your question. I got totally rinsed by a marketing company. The issue with finding a marketing company is that they're so good at marketing that they'll market you right into their pit, and not everyone is honest.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to find out, who's going to be, running off with your money and who's going to be helping you out. What advice would you give someone who's in the service business who maybe has been messed over before, maybe hasn't, maybe whatever it is? How would they vet a marketing company? How would they, go from like seeing this person's cold email or seeing this person's ad to actually going ahead and trusting them? Like, it's not just the fees that they're paying for the agency. There's also the ad spend.
Yeah, sure.
Could be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to start with before they even see results.
We have clients that come to us in that situation. It's almost like therapy. Bringing them back from that place. I'll ask them a question. I'll say, okay, tell me a little bit about what you spent. Where was it spent? And then I'll start asking about access. Do you have access to that account? Do you have Google Analytics during that period that we can look at? You can tell in the way you were expressing it, like it was painful. And in any situation, even if you haven't been rinsed, like as you said, is look for somebody who's ready to educate you. There's a lot out there that's very confusing for anybody who hasn't been in it for 2 months, right? Things are changing. Look for somebody who's willing to educate you and tell you what happens, and in this case, what happened. So first of all, we need to see what happened, and then I can kind of maybe help you understand a little bit about what happened, if it really was their fault, if you really got rinsed, which, cases are that you did if you feel that way. If you didn't walk away and you understand what happened, and they kept you up to date throughout the process of what was going on, then that's not good service. And so that's what we're inverse to. Like that's what Goldfish Marketing, we're inverse to what you're talking about, which is more of a factory where let's get you on board. I'm just going to be so confident about every little thing. We're going to drive 10X for you. We've even got a case study to show you. Send us your details. We're going to get started for you. Just wait. It's coming, right? What we try to do is we're looking for clients that are looking for a partner. They're looking for somebody, again, like I said, who's going to really talk to them about how's this whole thing work. Hold on just a second. I just sat with a board of 5 and the head of organization. And I said, before I get started, what questions do you have? It was a discovery process. We're just getting started. We have a required discovery process with our clientele where we sit with them, we educate them on how this whole thing works, and then we discover them. We listen to them. But I said, well, what's the main thing? And the director, he said, I want to know how this whole thing works. And I thought, man, I think we're way past that, right? I mean, we have a contract, we're moving. Now you want to know how it worked? But it was the right question. That's the right question. Well, hold on, how's this whole thing work? Where's my money actually go? What kind of data points are you looking at that indicate success? And when do you pull the plug, right? When do you say it's enough? Hold on, let's rethink this. Let's do something that we are very, very confident is going to work. And then let's go through this together, hand in hand, right? And so that's really where we focus. So what I'd say to somebody who's been burned before, hope is not lost. But find a partner who's going to educate you, first of all, who's going to sit with you, have 30 minutes, an hour with you. Hey, let's look at your platforms together. Let's do this audit. Remember I talked about audit? Let's do this audit. It's all about you. Here's your platforms. Here's the catalyst, meaning here's the content, or here's the systems that you have set up that are going to allow you to win. And here's the ones you don't. And that we have to, before we put $1 into Google or Facebook, we got to get this system right. Because it could be that the company, whoever you hired, did a fantastic job. Perfect job. Great targeting, great content, pick the right platform, send traffic to the right place. But it could be that where they send traffic didn't do its job. Right? It could be that the website was the problem.
Yeah.
But what I say is don't trust. Don't trust. Don't trust marketers.
It's a balance.
Don't trust them. Hold them accountable. Say, hey, service provider, hey, marketer, I like you. You're a good person. I want to work with you. Okay, that's nice, right? But I have a little bit of a hard time trusting
humans.
Yeah. I've been a little burned. I've been a little this. I'm a little damaged. If you want to extend my lifetime value as your client, you need to help me through this process. And I need to see how I hold you accountable. And so what I was talking about is say, well, hey, how does this process work? How do you guys start? Well, you just sign here and we'll send you, the results. We'll take care of everything. We'll build your landing page. We'll take care of everything. You just send us a check, Beep, 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 beep. Warning. No. Hey, client, here's how it starts. We'll have an introductory meeting where we discover everything about your business. I'll personally be on that call. I'll be running that call. It's with you. I want the owner and whoever else is on your team who's going to be point or going to be, on this. We're going to have an hour-long discovery. We want to learn about your business. After that, what are the metrics that we're all looking at? What do you guys look at to define success? Key performance indicators, KPIs. Your provider, your marketer needs to tell you his list of things that he finds is most important for your success, right? And so if all he says is we're going to increase your traffic, you're going to spend $3,000 a month, you're going to spend $10,000 a month, we're going to write SEO articles for you every week, or we're going to do paid advertising for you. Okay, great, whatever. What are you looking at? Well, we're just looking at web traffic. That's good, but I'm looking at revenue. You're looking at users, which is way over here, and I'm looking at income. Well, what happens in between? Who fills that space, right? So landing page is one of those pieces.
One of the catalysts. And you mentioned that. You fell upon the landing page that they used, and you said, I want to hire myself. This doesn't represent me. I assume they didn't do a very good discovery process with you. I assume they didn't honor you in this place as an individual, unique boutique service provider who has a specific history, a specific persona who you're targeting as a clientele with a specific pain point solution and a specific product to offer that you're not just breaking even on, you want to profit on, but you want the value to be justified. And you have to show that value. Not that you're taking anybody for a ride, but you're providing a product that's a very high level product that's going to generate revenue for your clientele. So if they didn't honor you as their client with a discovery call, with defining to you, here's the process, here's what you can expect, here are the points along the journey that we're looking at, they don't know how your business works. And they're not worried about what happens between someone landing on your homepage or even becoming a lead and afterwards. Because another option you could have told me, you could have said, Jake, listen, I got 1,000 leads,
but none of them were from the country that I operate in or the clientele that I serve, or none of them were even in business
Qualified,
owners.
yeah.
Yeah, none of them were qualified. So they say, well, look, we bought you 1,000 leads. And you go, well, none of them turned into income. So really partner, looking for somebody who's going to educate you, who's going to discover your business, who's going to care about your business, who's going to care about how to get a user turning into a profitable, conversion for your company.
What do you think about money back guarantees? Like there are people that they advertise will get you X, Y, and Z, or you don't pay.
Have you done that before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, how'd that go?
Not too well actually. Meaning, I think they did a great job. But something about it didn't work. Like they definitely were. I'm glad they had that guarantee in place.
Yeah.
They're very candid. They're very open about their process.
Good.
The process seemed to make sense, and it didn't really do me that much though.
Okay. I mean, I think that it's a money back guarantee is just another indicator that they're going to be transparent, if that's possible, or more interested in your interest, which is great, right? Because they're saying, well, hold on, we don't want to give you your money back, right? That's not in our interest. Whatever we've guaranteed you, we either need to stand behind that, and we have stood behind that, or we're going to cease to exist because we're giving all the money back to everybody, right? Or we're playing tricks. We're going to just drag you along. I promised you 10x on your investment, and you got 3x. Well, hold on. The fine print said 1, 2, 3. Again, I'm looking. What I'd be looking for as a service provider. I'm relational with my clients. I want them to trust me. I want them to know who I am. I want them to know what makes me tick, right, and what I care about, and it's them, and that that I'm going to be there for them. And I assume that individual wants the same thing from another service provider, which is a marketing company, right? They're providing a service. So any indicator that you can find that makes a marketing company stand out as relational, human, ready to discover your business, and knows that the longevity of you as their client depends on that last indicator of success, which is cash in bank, right? I think that if you get a company to say that, then that shows a lot of trust. If a provider is promising you a guaranteed result, then I think so. I think that that backs it up big time. A money back guarantee does show, okay, we know your specific business. We've niched into that. We know what we're doing, and you can totally trust us, right? The problem with that is, again, they're going to focus just 100% on a quantity, I assume. I mean, if they've taken you all the way to the point of we're going to give you 6 booked jobs, right? It's as good as cash in your pocket, right?
I wouldn't say closed jobs, more booked meetings with qualified clients, and we put down on paper what's considered a qualified.
So good.
Aspect.
If it's something, again, if it's something that
it has to be something that you're in control of.
Exactly. Then yes, I think it's fantastic.
I had a different conversation with a different marketing guy. I brought him a potential client. I like to work with marketing companies because we don't do the actual marketing. We just do the videos.
Sure.
And we make very bold claims about our videos. Yeah. ROI focused and revenue driven. Yep. And we really believe that our videos are like the secret sauce to getting people to trust and to convert.
Nice.
One of the guys I was speaking with recently, I asked him, I said, would you offer a money back guarantee?
Mm-hmm.
Can we work together?
Yeah.
And both offer him a money back guarantee.
Nice.
And he said, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Right, for me, it's a big risk.
Yeah, sure.
Because if he doesn't do his job, it's not just me doing my job.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do his job, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, totally.
And then he was like, did you tell him yet about the guarantee? It's better if he doesn't do it with a guarantee. I said, why not? He said, because it's a risk. It's not what I said. What? I couldn't wrap my head around his logic saying that he doesn't want to take the risk. I said, but why should he take the risk? He doesn't know who you are. You're advertising your service. You can get him X, whatever it is, and you want him to trust you, but you don't even trust yourself because you're not willing to back it up.
Did he give the money back guarantee?
He said something like, oh, give me his number. I'll close him without the guarantee.
Okay.
Ask me if I gave him his number.
I'll ask you, did you give his number?
No, absolutely not. I just don't trust the guy enough that I would bring him a client of mine and create an entire promo video, the whole process. And we only take on a few clients a month, relying on his, ability to succeed if he's not even willing to back up his own claims.
Yeah. Well, next time if you want to do that, you can call me, and we'll do it together.
Yeah, you would do
I would
money
do it
back
with you.
guarantee?
Yeah. With you, I'd do it.
Awesome.
Because again, you would create great content, right? And the content's that catalyst, right? We put that content in front of the right eyes and drive them in the right way, right? And then optimize in the proper form, right? Conversion, we're optimizing on, right? So if the content's good, if it's a catalyst piece of content, right, that's going to drive, then that's already a huge piece of the puzzle.
All right, we need to talk after this
episode.
There you go. What are the advantages of video for service business promotion?
Yeah. Next time you get on social media, let's say this, as you're browsing, think about afterwards, like what you stopped on, right? Where did you pause? Right?
Where did you hit the brakes?
Yeah, where did you hit the brakes? Right? And I assume you were only there for probably half a second to 6 seconds, right? But you stopped. You paused, right? And TikTok changed the game on this too. I mean, like I said, it pushed Meta hard into video, right? But in the smartphone and how great cameras are today and how easy it is to film something quality, right? Again, I'm not talking about like cinematic, but something that's good enough that you push out to your friends or as a testimonial or endorsement. But video is motion. Our eyes enjoy motion. I think that's a fundamental. The audio, of course. I mean, a static graphic isn't accompanied with audio. You have to have something that's in a MP4 format, or at least in something that's visual to upload in motion to add audio. So I think the combination of motion and audio puts it outside, of course, written content or static graphic.
So what has your experience been with using promo videos for video marketing?
Promo videos are a huge asset on your website. Social media content, this is where we're looking a little bit quick to the point, short content, right? But when somebody's landed in your website, they're interested, right? They've arrived there because they were searching for something, or they saw some opportunity and they landed on your website.
What percentage of people do you think would be looking for that play button?
80%. In 2000, I think it was 2021, they came out with a stat that if you have a promo video on your website, on the landing page, you're 80% more likely to convert. Now, I think that's a relative stat, but I think that the point of it is that you're more likely to convert, right? That's what you need to walk away with, right? Whether it's 10% or whether it's 80%, it's more, right? Yeah, video is very powerful in relating the human side. If we're getting back to it again, if you're watching a video and somebody is sitting in front of you, talking head, telling you about their business or walking you through their office or showing you what they can do, that is a very human way to connect with a viewer, to show them your, again, trust building side of your business, legitimacy of your claims, your space, right? You're inviting them into your world, in a minute and a half, 3 minutes, something, however long how long are your promo videos typically?
59 seconds.
59 seconds. So within 59 seconds, I've now met a person at the company, at least. I've heard a voice that represents the brand. I've seen something that represents your company, what you can do, what you've done, what you'll do for me in 59 seconds, right? And I'm understanding now the value that you're going to bring, right, that is competitive, your unique selling point. I assume there's something when you're working with a client that you want to understand what's special about them, what's unique about them, what sets them apart from the competition.
It's actually a great point that you brought up here. With AI emerging and developing and just taking over, you don't even know what's AI anymore. Mm-hmm. Video is really the only way to just prove this is me. Hi, I'm here. I'm a person. I run this company. I'm the person you're going to be meeting when you come into our office. I'm real. With AI, text, or whatever it is, you can't really do that.
Yeah, and this is the kind of the carrot we have to chase, right? Which is that authenticity. I think that, looking at video, if you're running a service company and your clientele is interested in who you are, who you've worked for, what services you offer, and then why should I pay you, right? Why should I hire you instead of 3 other options that I might have, right? And you can do all that within 59 seconds, right? And you can do it also while building a relationship. It's a little bit of a one-sided relationship, right? Because they're only getting to know you. But it's opening the door and making yourself first vulnerable to them while sharing everything that they need to know to value you as a potential, provider. So I think definitely homepage, get your promo video in there, map it out, show them who you are, show them why you're the best, legitimize that, make that statement, and then throughout your entire website, right, all the way to your lead generation form, or however they're getting in touch with you, show them that you are really what you say you are. Show them that others say that you are what you say you are, and then make it really easy and potentially dynamic for them to request a price quote or to get in touch with you.
What do you mean by dynamic?
So there's some very cool ways to drive a user to actually get in touch with you. Shows them visually what they're going to get, why are they special, why can they trust them, what do they offer, and moves them into this place where now they're ready to go, okay, I want a price quote, right? They've moved through this journey properly. Now, it could be that we're just doing a generic request for information, right? We're just looking at, fill out this form, right? Meanwhile, there's an alternative to that, right? We can present to them a way that they can actually get a quote, right? And we won't dive into this. If you guys are interested in this, then definitely feel free to leave a comment or get in touch. But, there's a way that we can structure, almost gamify, right? Gamification, maybe you've heard of this, turning something into a game, right? This process of actually asking for a price quote, where somebody's not just saying, hey, here's my information, I hope that somebody reaches out to me. They're really in the process now of getting a price quote. They feel that psychologically, they feel that they're going through this process, right? And so we create systems like that are dynamic, that are gamified, that make people, it not just makes them, it's true, it's happening, right? That information is going to then be received by a person at the company who's going to call them within 10 minutes, right? With the information that they put into that form. But the key here is that conversion rate. We looked at it was 4% originally, jumped to 35% in terms of the amount of people who saw that form and completed that form. It was 4%, jumped to 35%. So you think about that, that's a one-time getting your things in order like I talked about, right? And then you put money into the system. Then you do your SEO content. Then you do your paid ads. But first, get your funnel fixed up, which needs to include a trust-building piece of content, which is your video that you mentioned, that drives this interest, that gets them ready to go, and that brings them over, right, which is my job, right? Our job is then brings them into the space where they can actually be captured as a lead and given service.
And where on the website do you feel this video should be put?
A homepage is a no-brainer.
Where on the homepage? Like above the fold?
Yeah. If it's content that, again, you feel really did the job, like if it's a great video, like if you guys made it.
Call us today.
There you go. I get no commissions on this. I'm just really, it's great. What I recommend is if it's really good, get it up top for sure. That's going to be more the people that just come into your digital home, right? They arrive on your homepage. But then we also want to look at using that in landing pages, where appropriate. If we're looking at sending traffic directly to a lead capture, right? If we're doing remarketing, for example, somebody came to your website once, they saw a video, they saw something, or they landed on an information page, like an educational piece of content, like we talked about, and then they left, and then we want to retarget them for a service on social media with, I don't know, some kind of offer or something exclusive or, something attractive. And then we bring them back to that page. There's also an option there to include video content, right? It's also a great place to have some sort of, again, a testimonial situation, or if the promo fits there again, and maybe a bit of an altered situation. There's multiple places for video that would be really conversion driving catalysts.
Amazing. Unfortunately, I think we ran into a technical time brick wall. If anyone's watching this and they want to get in touch with you and they want to ask you a few questions or maybe work with you, how would someone go about getting in touch with you?
Yeah, so if you want to talk to me personally, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jake Fichman. My last name is Fichman. The company's Goldfish Marketing. I'd love to hear from you personally. So either search for Goldfish Marketing or Jake Fichman and just write me a personal message there, and we'll jump on a one-on-one call.
But if he senses that AI wrote that message, forget about it. I don't care what you're trying to buy from him. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining. And that's it.